Hey guys, this is Mark Natividad over at Electric Dreams. And I'd just like to remind you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and make all the good comments that you like so we can keep providing these great videos for you. Now that that's said and done, sit back and enjoy the video.
So, Bob, thank you for being here. I know that you have a busy life, and now you're building tracks around the country and going around. I think you are the ultimate ambassador for slot car racing.
Well, I appreciate that. I try.
Because you're putting together tracks and making people racing fairs and going around the country and showing the spreading the good word of slot car racing. So I'm very glad to have you here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I know that we last time that I saw was during the Nationals. Did you enjoy the race?
Yes, I enjoyed the race. The car prepared by you. The tires done by now he's one-time Euro champ.
Okay, yeah. Tell me about Piccolina.
Oh, so we started doing fairs and festivals. I built track with Hasse Nielsen in Arizona in 1996. I built 2 tracks. Mm-hmm. I had previously had 2 raceways, one called Flash Tracks in Oxnard in 92, and then we closed that. That was kind of a flash in the pan.
92, how long it lasts?
It lasted, it was about 6 months. I was partners with Paul Pedersen and his wife Sherry, and we split, and I bought a closed Cruzin that was located in Tarzana, up the road a piece. And my wife and I moved to Arizona and started a raceway there. And that was the beginning of about a dozen raceways I've had over the last 25 years.
Dozen raceways?
Yeah, I've had actually 14. 2 I never opened because I used them to build tracks in.
Oh, okay.
So we had a raceway in Arizona in 93 in Chandler, and it was pretty good. I started learning how to promote and send out, at that time, fax broadcasts to all the news agencies all around, and we got to be on TV. I found that a lot of times media, TV, magazines or whatever, they're sitting there twiddling their thumbs and they see slot cars, that's a nostalgic thing, and it always brings back, hula hoops and the beach and racing little model cars around a really nice designed track. And so I started building tracks and going out and doing fairs in 96. And so in the thinking about Piccolina, our first Chihuahua, we had a bunch of Chihuahuas. And so back in 96, I don't know if you remember, there was a Taco Bell commercial that had the little rough coat blonde Chihuahua. Okay. And my wife, Terry, goes, "Oh, my God, we got to have one of those." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay. We're on the road, honey. We're doing fairs." She's like, "Oh, it'll be fun. And we can breed them." So when we
can breed it. Okay,
yes, yeah, we can breed them in our motorhome.
Very good commercial. Very
right.
God.
Yes, it got us going. So we in San Mateo, really beautiful. It was kind of known as a flower agriculture fair in San Mateo, in the Bay Area. Yeah. And we did that fair, and we found a lady in Daly City across the channel that had Chihuahuas, and there it was. And of course, she, being from Sicily, wanted to name our first dog Piccolino,
which means small.
Yes, and there you go.
Which Piccolina is that? The second?
Now, that was in 98.
Oh, okay, so that's probably the fourth.
It's kind of a tragic story. I lost him after 4 years, and then we had bought a female attempting to breed, which never happened. And then we got another male, and we had a passel of Chihuahuas for about 10 to 14 years. We had 4 Chihuahuas, Mama, Papa, and 2 boys. And they're gone.
Okay.
So the last one of those went away about 5 years ago, and it was like, honey, we're about ready to retire. It's time to go to Italy. We don't need pets. We don't need pets, right? So we found that we weren't going to be able to go to Italy, and so here come the pets. First, we got a cat. Our cat's not here, Mia, and then this is Piccolina, our sweet little Pomchi, actually.
Oh, okay.
Pomeranian Chihuahua.
Pomeranian Chihuahua.
And yes, our pets have been our mascots throughout the years, doing fairs and festivals.
You mentioned she wants to participate.
Yes, she's very vocal.
You mentioned something about the nostalgic feeling that everybody has racing slot cars. I feel that sometimes it's a little bit going in the wrong direction for us because the nostalgia is going to end at some point, right? People are not going to have the memory of having something that they never had.
No, I can't agree with that. I think nostalgia will always be around. Whether other generations recognize or pick up on that with our given cancel culture, I won't go too far with that, but everything auto and related to what we're used to in the 50s and 60s is gone away, is going away at some point, is going to be major changes. And so I don't know what the future holds, but I know I'm here now and today, and people still enjoy it. Very seldom when I set up a track in an open area like a fair or a festival, very seldom would any kids go by without, Mom, Dad, I want to race, I want to race. And depending on whether Mom and Dad had the money or the time, they would play or not.
Okay. Yeah,
but,
we do something very similar. We do the El Segundo car show and the Culver City car show.
Yes.
Both with the track.
Yes.
And at some point, there's more people around our track than to the food trucks.
Sure.
But it's hard for me to try to bring those guys to become hobbyists. It's just like a one thing to do in a fair, like one fun thing to do it. And it's hard for me to them to realize not only that they can have a set and go home, or just try to have slot cars as a hobby. That's a very, very hard switch to flip.
Right. Well, and just thinking about that, our kids and people today are AD, ADHD. Everybody, I go down the street and everybody's talking about dealing with their ADHD. So apparently that's a really common problem that we have today. And I attribute that to sugar and everything else that we've gone through. But and now I'm losing my train of thought. Give me another candy bar, please.
We need the sugar.
No, really, I just lost my train of thought. Dude, bring me back.
We're talking about the kids on the fair.
So kids want to plug and play. Slot cars are the era of interactive fun. I mean, you sat down, you built your car, and you had fun on the track, and it was a disciplinary measure. Mom was there telling you, hey, don't run around the track. Dad was showing you how to screw that screw without stripping the threads, and so it was a really interactive thing. And over the years, as we progress or digress, we become more plug and play, and so easier is better. Frankly, I'm kind of up for box stock racing, where you get a car, you pull it out of the package, and you race it.
Yeah.
That's not really happening, because when you get a commercially produced car, then it has some problems that have to be dealt with. But hopefully, the product today is better than ever. Slot.it, Nenco, NSR, the cars made in Italy. Oh my God, they are just unbelievably nice. Yeah. And then of course I'm kind of American forged, and I like Womps, for crying out loud. 32nd scale Womps with a stamped steel chassis. I think it's a great little ride too. But there's different things and different cars for everyone. I think what we need to do, I don't know what happened to STEM, but 10 years ago there was this STEM program that brought up the need to get industrial type of settings back in schools. I'm searching for words. So that they're learning more than just doing book stuff and online stuff. An interactive thing where they're working with tools has kind of gone away, and a lot of people want to bring that back. And honestly, I think slot cars is a great way to do it. About 6 or 7 years ago, one season when I was doing fairs, I spent $4,000 to go do trade shows. I had done the entertainment fair type industry trade shows before, but this time I spent a bunch of money, and I did flyers, I did video productions, and I wanted to. Let me step back a little bit. So in a lot of fairs and festivals across the country, there's train setups, there's train clubs. There's modeling train displays, and these are volunteer run and free spaces given by the fairs and festivals for people to come in and check out the trains.
Okay.
But that's a totally static display, right?
Yes.
You can look at it, but don't touch, and in
Yes.
fact, very vehemently so.
Yeah.
But slot cars is totally different. You can play with your car. You can race it around the track. You can run your '64 Ford Mustang or whatever car you want. Totally different from trains. What happened? I got people wanting me to come back east and set up slot car tracks. Nobody was interested in putting it in a fair or a festival. And I think one of the reasons is trains are very, very technical. I think even more so than slot cars. But it's like a foundation of America. And they're in their solid. Sorry, let me turn my phone off. And so slot cars are so...
It's probably someone looking for a track.
Excuse me?
It's probably someone looking for a
Yeah,
track.
maybe. It might be. Ted told me. But so, there needs to be a place for slot cars as a learning tool. And, we did that at Peterson a couple of times.
Yes.
I think you were there.
No, I wasn't.
no?
But I think you brought Scott's track to there.
Right. But I mean, after that, he
No.
did something there.
I wasn't there.
No.
The last time that I hear that there was something with the Peterson Museum was 10 years ago,
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
When Stephen Farr Jones was organizing
Right.
everything, right?
Yeah, the big far out thing.
Yeah,
That was
people
great.
brought wooden tracks.
Yeah, I had
and-
5 tracks in there.
Jesus, what a lot of work.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Ask Scott.
But every time that people are gonna bring back that point, every time that when people bring nostalgia, I still feel like we're talking about something from the past and you're not seeing what we have now. We just say that the cars from Italy, they're great. They're very reliable and very different from what it used to be 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Sure.
A couple of years ago, I don't know if you remember, LA Times made a big article on the Far Out Club. Remember? It was
Yes.
like a one full page, color
yeah.
printed and everything. It was pretty cool.
Yes.
Everybody was excited about that. But it was saying bunch of 60 years old get together to race slot cars. So that's past. We're still talking about the past. I know that the past is super important, but we need to talk about the present. Look what we have now. The scene that we have now, for me, is as bigger as ever. Like maybe in the 60s and the 70s was bigger because we have more commercial racetracks. But now you have the tracks at home, you have the little clubs. You're selling so many slot cars, so many new brands coming up. In Spain, the market is huge. In Italy, the market's huge. Here in America, it's growing again. And whenever we have a place like a full color page on LA Times, people are still talking about the past. Oh, remember that thing? They're still going on.
It's like a tagline, dude. You're stuck. It's like an actor that wants to break out of his role playing, right?
Yeah.
It's everybody wants to put something in a box, put it in a niche. Where does it go? Where does it go? Well, it goes everywhere. It's a car.
Yeah. But that's this whole feeling about it's something we're still trying to save something from the past. That's what hurts me more because we still have a very good activity.
Sure.
As you say, it's something that you can do with your hands.
Yes.
We still can improve the car. You can still make changes. You can still race, and there's competition on it. And people still talk about, remember in the 60s when this was happening?
Yeah, what
there's a
happens,
weird group of people coming.
The people that do that are locked into the past, and they're not happy with today. A lot of people aren't happy with the day. Half the country is, right? We're split 50-50. Half the country is. So it doesn't matter what you present them. They're gonna try and pick at you because you're trying to promote something, and God, the world's dying, right? Don't try and raise me up when I'm so locked into my depression. It's tough, and then you've got moms that. Let me give you an example. So we're in the hills of. Near the White Mountains in Arizona. We moved from Phoenix up to 3,600 elevation, and we're in a little tiny town you could say it's a hick town, and some people are struggling to eat, apparently. I have a hard time believing that because they get free food, but I posted my Hurricane Hill Climb. If anybody's seen that online, I was building the track and under a tent, and a 80-mile-an-hour wind came and just blew my tent away and broke the track a little bit. And Eddie Sure was gracious enough to put up a GoFundMe, and in 4 hours we raised $2,100. It actually blew my freaking mind. I told him, shut this thing down. That's plenty of money. And I thank you all that contributed to that. That was just awesome. And I'm going to transfer that into some free time for local kids. So I will use that $2,100 as a bank towards giving kids some free time and stuff on the track. And but so there's communities like this that's fairly depressed and repressed. And I posted my track that I was opening it up as a club setting and so forth, not a store, but a club setting. And some lady that's from the area just railed me. She says, that's absolutely repulsive. There's kids here that can't eat, and so forth. And she went on. And, you know, frankly, I've seen about all that you can see in my 14 raceways and doing hundreds and hundreds of fairs over 25 years, all up and down the California coast, Las Vegas, Arizona, Portland, Oregon. A lot of moms, you know, when their kids get so excited, they feel pressure. The kids want to do this. And moms is like, I can't afford it. You're going to go crazy on it. You're going to get hooked on it. And so, you know, I'm serious. I've seen everything that you can imagine in order for them not to play. And half the people do play.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they rise to the occasion of having some really simple fun, watching a car, controlling the power. You see, when the kids grab that controller and they feel that power, it's like, oh my God, I'm really running this car.
Thing, yeah.
You know, so there's got to be a way to get it into their hands. And, you know, I've been doing that for a while. You're doing a really good job yourself, and you're bringing in the technical and doing it really nice. I mean, you have such a clean and really sharp-looking operation here. It's really nice.
But coming back to the kids, like a couple months ago, we had a kid who came with his father, there was 2 kids and the father, and they want to rent some cars. So we just let them use the cars. So those kids were here a couple months ago, and there were like 3 kids and a father or uncle or whatever, and they asked me for a car to race. So every time that a new kid comes in, I let them run for free. Just like experiment.
Sure.
Like if you like it, we'll be back, and then if you're back, you kind of
yes. We used to do that. Don't mean to cut you off, but we used to do that in raceways. You make up a 15-minute free flyer, go and pass them out.
We have like 3 lanes open only, like 2 on the left, like red and white, and the black one. So I give controllers to the kids and then explain, look, those are alligator clips. You put your car going on that direction, right? You accelerate and you brake. That's it. And if you jump on the line, just tell other people to don't crash you. That's it. So the 2 kids on white and red, they're running. And I come to the back to see, and then, let's see how good those kids are doing, like 3 minutes later. When I got there, the kid on the black couldn't figure out the alligator clips. 2 minutes and a half, almost 3.
Oh, you mean he couldn't figure out how to pinch them?
No, and he was kind of giving up.
And the other kids wouldn't help him?
The other kids were on the other way, on the other side of the track. And they're running and really having fun. And the kid was just kind of giving up and looking to the side and couldn't figure out.
Maybe a little embarrassed to ask, and the other kids were having so much fun they didn't have any time for him.
It was not a 4 or 5-year-old. It was like a 10-year-old kid.
Mm.
So, like, what kind of environment this kid is growing that it couldn't figure out alligator clips? So he doesn't do nothing with the hands.
Right.
It's just screens all the time.
Yes.
And when you told me something about having manual labor or working with your hand a little bit, I believe that's one of the biggest arguments that we can use to promote slot cars.
Sure.
Is that something that you can really use your mind and your skills to make that car run faster?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one motive for me.
And
that's one of the
biggest. When I did a promotion, I spent $4,000 to go out to some trade shows. One of my points was, as in the STEM program where they're setting up learning tools for kids, the same thing, even more, is slot cars. You can involve the whole family. You're not just throwing the kids out there and trying to teach them and have them fun, but you get mom and dad in there as well.
Yeah, and if you have a little bit of passion about cars and racing,
mom and dad. Oh no, you're not going there.
But if you have a little bit of passion about cars and real racing, or at least competition, you're really hooked to it.
Sure.
Like that's could be your hobby because you know about the cars, you want to make them look good, look better,
Yeah.
and you go from there.
Right.
So I think that's a good argument that we can start to
Right.
use and forget about nostalgia.
Oh,
Please.
absolutely. Yes, I agree. I agree because it's kind of a bad hook, actually.
Yeah.
You know, and you can point out all the positive things. And once again, I get back to the family reintegration tool that slot cars can be. I mean, you got the parents there, dad's showing the kids the mechanical side, mom's trying to teach them how to act right in the raceway. We're in a small microcosm, right? We're not out in a big playing field. We're all huddled around a slot car track, which is generally about a 10 by 20 or maybe 20 by 30 feet. Not very big, and you got a lot of passion packed around this track. People yelling, "Go, go, yeah! Oh no, get my car!"
What can I do to have a Bob Scott track? How can I reach you? How long
Dude,
it takes?
that's a long story, isn't it?
How long? Yeah. How many tracks built to today? Are you
I'm
counting?
Close to a couple of 200, maybe. I've kind of lost track,
200.
but yeah, I've got a couple of hundred.
Okay.
But they're all, I mean, I've probably only built a handful of regular 8-lane commercial tracks.
Okay.
These are all generally 10 by 20. I've made some, my buddy that owns Speed and Sport Raceway in Mesa, Arizona, Roger Gunning, I built him for his house a 12 by 25 foot flat
Okay.
track.
That's a
Kind of
good-
like the one I just built for Ted, only
That's
just
a
little
big
bit
track.
bigger.
Ours is 25 by 16.
This one?
Yeah.
Oh, this is a beautiful track. Gary did
looking,
an
right?
awesome job on that.
We have an argument. We had an argument back there. Me
Yeah,
and
we
you.
did.
That's
was
all good.
supposed to
All
build
good,
that
right?
track.
All good, right?
I'm getting old, man.
Like it's for us was a little harsh to get the track on because it all depended on our parking situation. So the parking situation, the building belongs to Scott, the owner, but we only have 7 spots. The tenant has the rest of it.
Sure.
So when we decided to put a track, I said, okay, we're going to have a track, we're going to have a lot of traffic, we need the parking spots, and we don't have the parking spots. So I was trying to clear with the city to have street parking during the weekends. So then I can justify having a track and I can justify having a racing program.
Sure.
But the city took almost 6 months to clear that offer. So as soon as I have that clear and I saw them change the signs, okay, now I can park on the weekends. Now I can have a track. And then we decide to open and clean the space and blah, blah, blah. That's why I kind of lost the timeline.
Sure.
over
Well, I
there.
remember you were going through, hey, can we get this track from back east and put it together? Or
Yeah, that was the
you
first
were
idea.
considering, you had a lot of options.
That was the first idea because somebody was selling a very nice track. I used the track, of course, out of a garage, and I could figure out the space. And I was like, a space that big, we just need a track. And to promote the hobby, we need a track. So I was trying
Absolutely.
to figure out a way to put a track here. And if you remember, 3 or 4 years ago, this place was just a warehouse selling stuff out of the internet. Now we have a showroom, we have a track. I think now it's proper presented. But to do that, I have to clear building,
Sure.
clear street, clear
Yeah.
with the city.
You did
And
it.
that's why we kind of. Now we plan to put another track here.
Oh.
And now we're going to talk later on.
Work it up.
We're going to talk later on. I have this.
Cool.
I found out this space. People are freaking out, but I know where I'm going to put it. It's not a mezzanine. It's not a second floor, but I found a space. But seriously, like if I want to have a track in my garage or if I have a space in the basement, how do I contact you? Is that something that...
If you Google Cruzin Bob, CRUZINBOB, I'll come up.
How busy are you? Like how?
I'm not very busy. I don't
long-
have anything right now. I'm not motivated to build, so I'm particular about the builds that I do.
Okay.
And just to be glib, I've had people in the past tell me how I'm going to build and how much it's going to cost, and they never bought from me.
Oh yeah, of course, of course. So they're gonna find cruisingbob.com.
Yes. Well, just Cruzin Bob.
Cruzin Bob
If you
on
just-
Google.
Yeah, CRUZINBOB, one word, and I'll pop
have an
up there.
idea how much would be like
Well,
ballpark a
what I
proper
used to-
wooden track.
The old going price for an 8-lane track was 100.
8-lane.
And well, I'm just saying. So this is what I used to base on. The prices 20 years ago used to be $100 a foot, a linear foot for an 8-lane track. So a Blue King at 155 feet would be
16,000.
15,500.
Yeah.
Well, that was 20 years ago. Now it's double.
Okay.
So it's $200 a foot for an 8-lane
So if
track.
I want
That's a
a
$31,000 track.
proper Blue Kings,
Right.
$30,000.
So what I do is I cut it down. So if
Okay.
it's a 4-lane track, I go half of that. So
All right.
what I'm charged is about $100 a linear foot for a 4-lane track.
4-lane track.
Yeah. So the track I did for Ted was about 70 feet, and it was about $7,000.
And that's operational with the power supply and a
Yes.
computer and everything?
No, well, actually, it's a la carte.
Okay.
I base it first on the track only, and then we can add on, because the power supply is only like $200. TrackMate is like $400. So I kind of a la carte it, because some people might want to use different power supplies
and stuff.
or different.
Well, they already have it. Yeah.
Yes.
What's the next project? Are you on the next one?
I'm actually working the RV park that we're staying. We bought property in this place, Cortez Lakes, and where I built a hill climb, the Hurricane Hill Climb, that I'm trying to develop a little program for in this little town. And that's all I'm doing. I don't have any track builds.
Schedule.
Ted said there's a couple of guys that are interested, but they haven't reached out yet.
Yeah,
So-
it became like a rare craft, right? Because we have like
there's
4 or 5 guys doing
There's
it.
nobody doing professional builds. I think Dan Cronin, who does real good, Viper, does
HO
HO
stuff.
tracks,
Okay.
as well as Brad Bowman from Escondido, and they have CNC, so they'll do 30-second scale tracks, but they're going to be more tabletop as
Okay.
opposed to like a commercial track
Commercial
that I
with
build with
curves and
lakes and
stuff.
everything.
And Gary Gurding retired, right?
He's done. But I heard that he's still going to build a track every now and then, one-offs maybe, but he's not going to stay busy.
That's kind of a rare craft that you have now.
It is. It is very.
You should ask $400 a feet for the 4-lane track.
Honestly, I ask as much
Right?
as I want. I'm kind of known
I
as the
think it's too cheap.
easygoing guy with low prices, but
No, it's too cheap.
I
Come on.
I tried to make it doable.
Well, look, Terry's
You know,
saying okay for
there's
me.
some
Look.
slot car
She's
races-
out. She's authorizing.
He wants to keep this alive.
Come on, Terry. Come on. Talk on the microphone. Talk on the microphone with. Talk on the microphone with.
Well, he wants to
Ele
keep
chutou
this.
a câmera.
He wants to keep this
Oh, come on.
sport. He wants to keep this sport alive.
Okay.
And so he's willing to sacrifice a
Yeah.
few things to get it going, and I understand that. And
And she doesn't give me a hard time about that at all.
he's done.
Yeah. Well, I think it's becoming so rare that you guys could. I know it might sound bad, but you can charge whatever you want. It's
That's
just like
exactly
it's
what-
just like
yeah.
you're the one-off doing it, so that's it.
right.
Yeah,
with you,
I've
honey.
tried that,
Yeah.
but you only sell to those people that are like committed totally. A lot of people are on the fence, you know. Not only on the a lot of people are on the fence, not only on the fence about going out and playing with their slot cars, but about buying a track. It's a big commitment, and today it seems like people are living in fear a lot. I hate to bring up all the negatives, but I'll give you a little experience. When I had my 3rd or 4th raceway in 2003, after the 9/11 deal that kind of threw this country into a tailspin, before 9/11, people used to come into a raceway, and I generally have 2 or 3 tracks. Somebody would be racing on a track, and a family would come in and go, "Oh, let's go play with those guys." And for some reason, the fear that other entities have tried to instill in Americans have kind of worked, because after that, people would come into my raceways and they'd see somebody playing on a track and they'd go for the empty track. People have become
Yeah.
more individualized. They're seemingly more fearful.
Afraid to mingle.
Right, and so, and perhaps slot car racers have a certain, what do you want to say? Have a certain outlook that people don't understand. They think we're like low grade mechanics or something, when in fact you go into Piranha Raceway or you come here and you see guys wearing rocks and have plenty of money. So I think people, and also there's a problem with people looking at it like we're playing with toy cars. I tell people that I play with toy cars. My wife says, "Don't say that." I'm like, I'm very glib. It's a toy, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It's a finely crafted toy, but it's still a toy, just like a freaking Ferrari, for crying out loud, right?
Well, I'll put it
it's
this
just
way,
a big toy, costs more. But they are toys, and we enjoy them. But here's another thing. I think about Mike Stubbe. You probably know that name. And we were racing retro.
I'm trying to bring him here.
We tried to race retro. Mike is a very Christian-oriented person, and the Christian mindset is like we're not supposed to be playing with toys. And I remember a thing where I guess it was his wife and he got into a conversation, and so he says, "Yeah, I guess I got to lay my toys down. Christ told me so." And I'm not being glib. I'm just, that's the way some mentalities are. It takes a lot of time and commitment to play with these toys.
Yeah.
I came over here. I used to work on cars, but I don't so much anymore. So I depended on you to set up my car, and the race was okay, but I could have used one of those Jags instead.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, everybody went for the Jags, but that was kind of last minute.
Right.
Last minute,
Right.
the whole grid changed for half of it.
But everybody has different levels of fun. When I do fairs and festivals, kids just holding, if I turn the power down, they're crashing too much. Kids are holding their triggers all the way down and not crashing. For some, that's fun. For us, it's aghast. I'm like, dude, are you kidding me? And they'll play with it. They'll turn around, they'll put their back to the track and joke about, look at me racing.
I've been to 3 car shows with a booth with a slot car track, and I know the nightmare that it could be.
Right.
Especially parents saying, "Oh, look, you're gonna stay here. Dad is gonna go over there," and I said, "No, he's not. Just take your kid with you."
Right.
No, he's not. I turned the power off, like literally. "Oh, guys, we need to do some maintenance."
Sure. Yeah. Reset.
Yep.
And that's what they're used to. See, that's what we're dealing with. The Nintendo generation is used to that reset button. They don't have to run out there and put their car back on.
My father used to own a commercial racetrack in Brazil, and I worked for him since I was 13 to 18 or something, 17. And while I was training, and every time that I crashed, he could be just like 2 feet from the car. He doesn't put it back. He said, "Walk of shame." He make me walk of shame. Put it back, and then you learn, and then I come back. Oh,
That's
God.
right.
Yeah, walk
That's
of
right.
shame.
It has a lot to do with respect. I run across that a lot anymore. People just think that on their keyboard they can run off with their mouth however they want. There's a lack of respect because people are living in an unreal world somehow. We've got to bring it back to real toys.
Yeah, those slot cars are really real toys, like the ultimate real toy.
Yes, they are.
And if you have a little passion about cars, you're hooked to it. Like it was like me. Like I was like 12 years old, and a friend of mine, a couple of rich friends, they have slot cars. And in Brazil, it was very expensive to have a slot, very expensive. And I remember that we have one place called Hobby Toys, or Hobby Brinquedos in Portuguese. And they have this long straightway, like 40 feet or 50 feet straightway, crossing the store, and then coming back in S's and cross a little bridge, and then the long straightway again, right? So I remember we were going to the window and just look at the cars, just wow, and just, oh my God, when am I gonna have one of those? And there's those 2 kids, they had it, and suddenly one of the kids wanted to sell one of the cars because they were used, and then I got it. It was my first one. It was like a little Beetle, 132nd Beetle, almost like a Womp. It was fun, and it was like I appreciate that so much. I was just looking at it. I was just trying to cut it and make it lower and just doing things on that specific car. I remember that once we got the new Parma PSC, the pink gears, and that was the ultimate upgrade. Everyone wants one of those Pitch 48 PSC pink gears.
They had a good mesh.
I saved money for a month to get the gear. And I remember they have the counter. They have like this glass counter with one of each and the price on the sides. So one of each part. So that is not many because that was probably like 94, 93, 94. And then I say, okay, I want the gear. And the guy opened up, just picking up the gear for me. And I put the gear over. So, oh my God, I'm going to install the gear. So, how I cherish that car. Like, I'm going to make it a little faster. Now I'm going to beat my friend. And it's going to be, I'm going to know that I have the fast Blue Beetle on that track. And unfortunately, we lost this. I think several reasons, in my opinion. not only that we have the Nintendo generation, the people who they can't take their eyes off the screen, but we have many more options, which is a good thing for one side and a bad thing for the other side.
Yeah.
And it's just too affordable now.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a joke, but it's to pay $4.99 for a gear, and if you strip it, that's it. Have like a bag of different tires to try it. I had one tire and I have to save it because it was a sponge. And if I know that every lap that I'm doing, I'm running out of tires and I might need a new one later.
Right.
So, two things like this: too many options, too cheap,
Yeah.
and now toys are expendables.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you go to a kid's house now, they have like 78, 80, 90, 100, 200 toys around. I had one for Christmas, and that's supposed to be their toy.
Yeah, and especially in areas like this, nice climate, everybody wants to do things outdoors, so radio control is more popular. Yep. We're battling all kinds of influences. Another thing, getting back to the restaurant where I put my Hurricane Hill Climb, it's a closed diner, which we're kind of trying to reopen, which was perfect. We always wanted a 50s diner with a slot car track, right? I mean, that's so perfect. But there's pool tables there, there's cornhole, there's, horseshoes. And so I'm promoting like heck. And what am I getting? Who's running the pool tournaments? When can we do the horseshoes? Now, in fact, not many people reach out about the slot cars, but in fact, when we did have kind of an exhibition 2 weeks ago, we had a swap meet, and I advertised to come out and check out the slot car track. We had 2 families that drove like 30 miles just to come over and see the slot car track. So that was very inspiring. So
at the museum, Scott has by the door some of bikes and skateboards. And I never understand why they have those bikes and vintage skateboards in front of the museum's door. And then once Philippe told us that that's because that was the way that the kids were coming to the slot car track. So I have those vintage. So they're like, okay, that's fine. One day I was here and I saw 3 bikes over there. And I took pictures. I said, okay, it's coming back. And I saw 3 kids. They bought cars. They used. They came like a couple more times. They still come now and then. But they saw the 3 bikes lining up by the door of the truck. So okay,
that's awesome.
It's kind of done. It's kind of done.
You're on your way.
Yeah. I need to know something that I've always was curious. Like, how do you get into this business? How did you start to build slot cars?
Mainly the passion of being a user. Being a player with the toy. A lot of people do that. In fact, slot car raceways have been mainly enthusiasts that open as, I think I can make a go of this. Very rarely has anybody opened one with a business plan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are rare. I mean, in the 90s, when we had Cruzin, I was very... I really liked going to Cruzin and Tarzana, and they got on the world news. So that was kind of like a big bloom for slot cars.
That's on the 90s?
Yeah, it was 92. In fact, the segment's on my slot car racing page.
Okay.
It's a clip from the ABC World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. It was huge. I mean,
I'm gonna put the link below so people can see it.
They came in and filmed for like 3 days. I took some pictures. They put us one of those lipstick cameras. This was in 92 on the car, ran it around the track and crashed it, and it hit big. I mean, can you imagine? World News, boom, man. And we had at that time only wing car racing. SoCal USRA was. Doug Shepard was the president, by Doug, and Monty Oren was the secretary. I was actually the race reporter of the SoCal USRA.
So you guys were racing like group 20, group 27?
Box stock 15, international 15, group 27, and group 7.
Group 7.
Yeah, just 4 classes. And then in 92, we started 132nd Eurosport.
Okay. That's
but it only ran for like 5 years or so.
Very expensive.
Yeah, especially now. When they started grinding the shafts to put a 6-tooth pinion on there, I was like, I'm out.
It became very expensive. So you have this raceway in Tarzana, right?
Yes. It was called Cruzin.
Mm-hmm. But you started with the slot cars way before that.
I started in slot cars in Eureka, California in 1960.
Are you from Eureka?
Yeah, I was born in Chico, raised in Eureka.
That's almost to
Oregon.
To Oregon, right?
Yeah.
There was a club over there. There's a very.
That's where the Ferndale Fray is. The HO race, the big HO race. Ferndale Fray is just down below Eureka.
But in Eureka, they have like a 132nd scale club.
don't think so. You might be talking about Yreka, because there's Eureka and Yreka.
No.
No, Eureka
yeah,
on the coast,
Yeah.
below Arcata.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Well, I might be mistaken. Well,
There's HO. HO is huge.
Carlos told me a trick. When I have a question and the guest doesn't know the answer, I look to the camera. If you know, please comment. Please make a comment below if you know what we're talking about.
If you know,
please.
make a comment. We want to know. People have got inquiring minds.
And please subscribe the channel. Please subscribe the channel. Come on.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
just one click.
Electric dreams.
Yeah, there you go.
They're
Thank
your
you.
dreams.
So now they will know about this. They're your dreams. Yeah. Every single car here. So you have the club, but before the club, you were racing in Eureka, right? And
No, that was when I started. I was probably 10 years old, 1962.
10 years old.
Yeah, 62.
So you have a 40-year-old career.
And so I played there a little bit. I remember having I had oh my God, am I going to forget it? The bubble car.
Bubble car?
The orange bubble car. Oh my God, what car? The orange bubble car.
I don't know. I don't know your age. You told me when you were 10, so I don't know if you were talking about 60s,
The
the
Viper
50s,
was
the
its
10s.
cousin. The Manta Ray.
Oh,
I
the
had a
Manta
Manta
Ray,
Ray. And then, of course, when I was in this counter, there was
How hard it was to have a Manta Ray on that time? It was like a Christmas gift, right?
Dude, this is 60 years ago.
No, but to, like for a kid to have that car, supposed to be like a very. You need
see, I'm a bit different now. I was in Eureka, very, very sparse. It's not like being down in San Mateo where they were kicking ass down there in the 60s racing slot cars.
Okay.
I was way up there in the coast. So, and in fact, the guy behind the counter, I wanted this nice little Lotus. Oh, it was hand painted green, beautiful little Lotus, piano wire. No, it was copper tubing, for crying out loud. He goes, dude, you don't want that car. I'm 10 years old, right? Dude, you don't want that car.
First crash
It's
is
going to
gone.
break. And I'm like, oh, I want that car. I finally got it, and I broke it.
He was right.
But my Manta Ray, it held up.
But I mean, to get the first Manta Ray, how hard for you as a kid was to have it? You have to
I was
ask for-
very poor. We were on welfare.
Okay,
and
but
it was just me and my mom. My dad died when I was 4, so yeah, it was really tough. I was a modeler. My mom was kind of like, we were on welfare. When she could, she played piano in bars. So on a Saturday night, she would go and leave me with a babysitter. But beforehand, she would go down to the model place and get me a model. So I would build models, and that's how I got into slot cars.
there we go.
Yeah, it was very hard getting a car, and frankly, I don't have great memories of it. The appreciation, I don't have it. I don't know. I'm kind of a, touch and go kind of guy. I don't hold on to anything. I don't have anything old. If it's not being used, I want somebody else to use it. I'm not a shelf queen kind of guy. I have respect for those that have taken the time and the money to put stuff away and preserve it. But, and I'm not like going to cuss at them for doing that, because that's their right. They earned it. They can do what they want with it.
Yeah.
Me, I'm not holding on to anything I ain't using. It's got to go into somebody else's hand to be used.
How old were you when you decided to open the first?
I was not business oriented.
Was it the 90s,
I was a
right?
labor oriented worker all of my life. And when I met my wife, Terry, she was business woman. She had a hair salon. She had a boutique. And I always kind of wanted to get into slot cars. I liked working with wood. I actually, before I opened a raceway, I bought a track. I can't remember. It was it was actually in LA somewhere. It was a Blue King back in '92. I bought it. I brought it all the way up to Fillmore, to this house where I was living, to rework it and everything in a garage. And I think I had put $500 down, and I owed him like $1,000, and I couldn't pay it, so he took it back.
All fixed.
And some of these guys will know the guy. He had a couple of raceways.
So we can do the same trick. If you know the guy.
Cliff something.
Cliff something.
Yeah, unfortunately, he went down the road of the nose candy.
Down the cliff.
Yeah.
No jokes.
No joke.
So where did you learn to work with wood? Like, is that something that you were working professionally before? Or?
Not professionally, as a hobby.
Because it's hard to bend wood.
Yeah, it's the product. That's MDF. Now, if you work with regularly pine, or I work making burlwood tables, burlwood clocks, and working with a router, so I learned the tool usage. And then when I started seeing what the materials they use for MDF, I mean, for slot car tracks, the MDF, I mean, once you start dealing with it, it's amazing what it does. It bends. You don't wet it, but it'll bend like crazy. And so I never built a track until after our first raceway alone in Arizona. And when we closed it, we started talking about, everybody's told me, you got to go do a fair. You got to build a track and go out and do fairs. You know, that's really where you can make your money at. And so sure enough, in '96, when we closed the raceway, I contracted Hasse Nielsen, and we built 2 tracks in a friend of mine, Mike Paquette's carpenter shop. One was, both of them were 9 by 18 feet, 6 lane, 24 scale. One was a lazy 8, and one was an oval. And we had contacted this man, Ethan Hirsch, who was running the Sonoma Marin County Fair in Petaluma, California. And he was like, oh, dude, yeah, you got to come out. At this time, he gave us a 20 by 20 foot spot with a 20 by 20 tent for $600. Today, that'd probably be about $6,000. But anyway, so we got this space, and I got pictures. It was funny because we were set up right under a huge sign that said beer this way, beer and slot cars, huh? Pizza, beer, and slot cars. Oh my God. And so we did the fair in '96, and in one weekend we did like I don't know, $2,800 or something. And I was like, oh my God, we were charging $2 a person, $2 a person
You can push it.
for 5 minutes.
All right.
And yes, it was a lot of fun. We were amazed when I look out at 12 lanes.
$2 a person for 5 minutes.
$2 a person for 5 minutes. Now I go $5 a person for 2 minutes.
Okay.
But so it was amazing. I look out, and on 2 6-lane tracks, they were all full. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was just me and my wife. I was running one track, and my wife was running the other. Oh my God, she got tired of that really quick.
Yeah, it's like, again, I've been to 3 car shows, and
And I
it's a
always
lot of
run
work.
them to where they crash. I can't turn the power down to where they're punched all the way because I'm a racer dude.
Yeah,
So
so you need
I
to-
have to deal with trying to get them to slow down. And the way I
Yeah,
normally
and
did
learn,
it,
right?
yeah, you give them visual representations. A lot of times it's hard to connect with people in their eyes today. For some reason, people got away from that old eye contact thing. But that's the best way to talk to people and get them to understand what you're saying. And so I would use visual representations. Slow down by letting off the trigger. You know, give them a visual representation.
Mm-hmm.
Some moms will go, yeah, slow down when you get to the turn. Oh, sorry, Mom, that's a little too late. Slow down before you get to the turn. Small little things that you say mean a lot. And I'm a talker. My wife is a doer. She'd always say, you're talking too much. You're talking too much. And I'm like, no. When they get it, that's when I know I've talked enough.
Yeah, and when they get it, they're gonna start to enjoy it.
Right.
Because
absolutely.
it's just crashing or just pressing the button.
Absolutely.
There's no enjoyment there.
Yes.
Which was your favorite track so far that you built?
Layout?
Yeah, no layout. Where is the favorite Bob Scott track?
You know, I can't, there's not a favorite one.
Really?
One hill climb that comes to mind, I built for a guy that had cancer in Woodland Hills. And now it's on its third ownership somewhere back in Arizona. But it was beautiful, 4-lane, 10 by 20 foot hill climb. And it just looks so sweet. Frankly, and it's odd because I'm not a fan of
hill climbs.
Of hill climbs because it's so tight and everything. I like a Blue King. So Eddie's Mini Bula King, that's one of my favorite tracks. I made a bigger version. I probably made half a dozen mini King tracks, which
we need you back at Eddie's King, Bula King, to do a redone over there.
oh well, I think he fixed it. Him and
He's fixing on his way. There's patches. There's patches between spider
hey,
webs.
that's road work, baby.
Yeah, the road works. I'm missing the cones then. You need the cones.
Yeah, you know, if I was on my own, I would be there in a minute. It's just so difficult with a family to get around, you know.
He's very proud about that track.
And we want to come back. You know, we spent the last few days on the Rincarn up in Ventura, and oh my God, I miss the beach so much.
Ed is very proud about the track, and it's semi-impossible to beat him there. we have like 3 or 4 races during the year with the Far Out
I
Club.
watch you guys.
And if you
I
have a
watch
second,
you.
if you have a
Here's
second,
Marco nipping at his heels.
no, never. if you have a second, consider a win. And last time I was there, I had 2 seconds. I said, I'm the
And
winner. I'm the winner of the day. I don't care.
That's good.
I'm declared the winner.
And it's great to see. Hi, Tom. It's good to see Tom Geese back at it.
Oh yeah, that's coming.
Yeah.
He's gonna.
Michael, where are you? Michael Smalley, calling Michael Smalley.
Michael moved to the north of
Yeah, I
California,
know.
the last city of California,
Yeah.
I think. Oh no,
He's still just as far away
south,
from me.
the southern city of Nevada, I think.
Right.
Which is now it's
rump.
away from California.
Yeah.
Just jumped the fence.
Right.
He has a cool track too.
Yes.
Did you get it?
Oh,
involved?
yes.
Did you get involved with that?
Yeah, I won on that track once. He backed off and let me win. I know you did that. You backed off and let me win.
But did you build that track?
Oh, no, that's
No.
a Carrera.
It's a plastic track.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
turn that he did, he used freaking fire and shit to melt the plastic to bend that. Yeah.
It's Riverside, right?
Yes.
It's a copy of Riverside.
Yep. Complete with the slot car track, the mini slot car track in the middle.
Building, the slot car track building in the middle, Eldom or something like
Yep.
that, right? That's pretty cool. Do you have any desire to build something that you haven't built yet?
Yes, and I'm not going to do it.
Why?
But I wanted to do, I think it's called an American hill climb with the crossovers.
Oh, with the
I've
two-
seen a
with
couple
the-
of
with
those
the
for
S's.
sales. Yeah, where 4 lanes cross over the other 4. So you're never, sometimes the gutter lane will be in the middle lane.
Yep.
So
you-
I just thought
you
that track
just
was just.
change it.
There was one called Bellflower Bob's when I used to race at Mark's Raceway in Cerritos. Bellflower Bob's had one of those hill climbs. Oh, it's an Aristocrat. That's what it's called. Aristocrat. Mike Brannion. Mike Brannion used to race there.
What a company that
Mike
American,
Baumacher.
the American Raceways. What is the full name? American Raceways. What a company, right? They have like folders.
You know, I'm not great on that kind of history. I remember John Ford, but I mean the companies, the bona fide track companies back in the day, I really don't know the history on
Like
those.
they have folders with pictures and layouts. And
Can you imagine
choose.
when they built those tracks, they did exhibitions too? They took them big freaking tracks out and set up in an exhibition for people to see and buy.
But you see, the legs were chrome.
Oh yeah,
They have to
we
sit
used
in a
call
carpet.
we called those 4-wallers because you had a 3/4 base plywood, and then the walls up to another surface. Yeah, we called those 4-wallers with those little chrome peg legs.
And carpet in the middle. There is no holes. Everything was so nice.
Yeah.
And people were smoking.
Right,
Racing
right.
slot cars.
And they used particle board for crying out loud.
At the museum, we have like the complete folder that you can choose. It's just like it's literally a folder that you can take the sheets off and see the tracks and compare the sizes. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, another time I raced, so stepping back a little bit about my racing history. So I raced in Eureka only for a minute, like maybe a year at the most. And then we moved to San Jose when I went to high school. And I raced in San Jose a little bit, Santa Clara actually. And then I moved to Tucson, Arizona. Now, when I was in Tucson, Arizona, there was a place called...
Let me interrupt you.
Yes.
How many addresses you have in your life?
I don't know.
You never counted?
Oh, addresses? Hundreds.
I moved to several countries, and my family was moving around, and
But it's all been here.
and I had 28 addresses,
Oh my
28
God.
different addresses, which is a lot. I'm 40, so.
You're on
But
your
you
way.
probably better. You probably made
Yeah, well, I
more than
mainly
me.
stayed in
Right
Northern
now,
California, Southern California, and Arizona. That's it.
Yeah, but right now it just lists 6. Oh yeah, I was racing here, and then I came to there. And I was like, that's just
No,
3 years of your life.
All in the 60s. Well, yeah. Well, we had kind of a mixed up young life running away from errant stepdads and stuff.
Oh God.
But so we were in Tucson at a place called Gun Slots. I always
Gun slots.
Gun Slots, yeah.
No.
In Arizona, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Just-
well,
I just-
Arizona, you wear
I'm
your
just
gun on
shocked.
your hip.
Yeah, okay. I'm just shocked about the name.
Gun
slots.
Yes. And
So don't come off in front of me. That's the slogan.
Yeah.
Somebody's
and
gonna pull the gun.
I like to wind motors. I had a brother-in-law that worked for McDonnell Douglas. So in one of those model car magazines, the one that was in the newspaper, what was it, a journal or something? They showed how to make an arm winding machine. Had a base, it had a little arm, and put your wire down here with your armature in there and clamp it in, and you would wind. So I became an arm winder when I was like 16 years old. Well, there was another guy. What was his name? Oh, he was a chassis builder. We were both 16. And so he would build the chassis, I'd build the motors, and man, we were kicking all the adults' ass. They could not stand it. Oh my God, we just whooped their asses big time.
What kind of track you guys racing? Is it probably like?
You know, I was thinking about that when you're talking about just nostalgic. It was a huge track, big bank, went down kind of like a king track, came back around, but then the bridge was flat. You had to come around a donut and dip. You dip down to go under the bridge. You ever seen that track? There's
No.
pictures of it out there.
That's pretty cool.
Come across a flat bridge,
Then-
come around, and then for the donut, you would dip under and come back up. Oh, it was crazy because if you didn't blip here, boom, you were straight into the bridge.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. So you're in friend of building chassis and you're building motors and you guys are
Yeah.
building ass.
I would have liked to build chassis, but I couldn't bend two wires the same for the life of me. I tried and tried and tried. I could wrap those arms though. And
Yesterday I just finished a hard body chassis for Victor Dubrowski.
oh, you're an awesome chassis builder.
And it's on the Trumbler right now as we speak.
Nice.
I need to
Yes,
come back
I've
home.
seen some of the jewelry you put
It's
out.
pretty good, right?
Yes.
I'm very proud about that. But I built like 70 or 80 chassis only, and it takes a lot of time.
It does.
Like I
yeah.
promised Victor to do it because I asked him to come here and race direct the nationals. Because
Ferguson?
I built Victor Dubrowski.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Yes.
I love Victor. We both had raceways at the same time.
See, competitors.
Yeah.
So he asked me, I say, how much you would charge us to come here and stay the day and just race direct? Because I think he's a great announcer and he's
Sure.
pretty good, right? So, I want one of your cars. I say, oh, fuck. I say, all right. But that's a $1 million.
Nailed you.
I say, Victor, that's a $1 million car. I want a $1 million car. So, okay,
He ain't
so
gonna
I
give up
agree.
either.
So the race is this Sunday. I haven't
Oh.
finished the car
Oh,
yet.
the Halloween race.
No, the race for the hard body.
At Buena Park, right?
Keith Tanaka's
Yeah.
hard board nationals.
Yeah.
So I'm building him a car. I finished yesterday the chassis. Now my goal tonight is go there and put the car together and bring to the store tomorrow. He's gonna come to pick up. I
Very
hope it works.
nice.
Hope it works. But that's my
Very
payment
nice.
for him.
Good luck, Victor.
Yeah.
I'm coming to the race when the Japanese are coming over here. What's
Yeah,
at the checkpoint?
Is
I wanna
it
do
the
the-
checkpoint?
Isn't it February, January?
I think the checkpoint is the end of January.
Yeah.
And February. Well, I don't know. But the checkpoint cup for me is one of. I like it very much.
Yeah, you kicked ass there a couple of years ago.
2019 it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Look, the thing was kind of crazy. Like, to cut the story short, like Eddie Shore invited me to go to the Western States, which is like 6 months before that. He got me one of the cars from the Japanese guys, one of the chassis from Kamo. So I didn't have my tools yet here. I was racing 1/32 scale. I had big loose. I wasn't working here yet. So I kind of put my tools together. I fixed the car. I raced. I classified probably D main or something. I think you were at the race too.
Yeah, I think so.
So it was okay. And then I kind of started to figure out, okay, I can get involved with this. So next week I just started ordering brass, piano wire, and just figure out what we're going to do. I called my mom to shoot my tools, send my tools from Brazil. And okay, let me figure out. So I saw that they have a very good program and all the pictures and weights and size, they have everything there. And then I spoke with Duran, I spoke with Rick Lane, I spoke with Sam Rackham and Brian Warmack and say, give me the measurements, give me the idea. And then my next race was the Checkpoint 2019, which I won. So people were kind of scared about that. Like I remember that.
You didn't just win, you kicked some ass.
Yeah, Paul won and everything. But the thing is, and the fun fact is, the next race, 2020, I think I was A main, but I didn't finish very well. But 25% of the field were my chassis. I have there was 46 people, and I have 13 chassis.
It's amazing how that happens.
Yeah, including one from John Sucres. That
Ah,
was pretty cool. And I believe that's the last car that he raced. So very proud about the chassis.
that's
thing.
very nice.
But it's hard to keep up. Last week we had the Enduro, the Bulabash Enduro at Piranha.
Mhm.
I couldn't figure out the car. It was Thursday. The race was on Saturday. And Dennis, we were racing with Dennis Sanson. Dennis came, I have a car. Let's use mine. And then we use his. But I couldn't figure out the car right away. So again, it's a specific set of skills, and you need to be involved. That's another thing about the hobby. You need to be involved in racing, knowing about the latest tire, the new size of the guide tongue difference between the axle. Everything needs to be on top of it, because you're going to be 1/10, 2/10 slower, and that's going to cost a lot during the race.
Yeah.
On 2019, I figured out everything. I made my research. I started to study pictures and start to see how should I do this guy. And the car was just perfect.
You nailed it.
Yeah, I remember that I was the last one to go to qualify. and people were celebrating the pole already. You can see there's a video of me going there, and people just like high-fiving on the back and say, "Oh, okay, wait a little,
No
wait
pressure.
a little,
No pressure.
wait a little. I have something here for you guys." But again, that group that used to race in Buena Park now is moved to Piranha. The retro group is a great group of guys. Nobody's gonna hide anything from you. Everybody's gonna give you any.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'm trying to bring here. Like I don't
Sure.
want people hiding stuff. I have a series of videos that's called Race Winner. Every time after a race, I pick up the car. I ask the owner, "Can I break down the car?" So I come here to the camera and I really break down the car.
Oh, that's nice.
This guy did this. This is different.
Perfect.
He's using this kind of chassis.
Yeah.
So the next one I'm gonna do with the car that won the Enduro at Piranha. It's gonna be a 124 scale car that we don't race here, but I want to break it down to show people what they're doing. And I think this open mind to show people what they're doing is a
Sure.
little bit of parts to keep this thing growing for the ones that are already involved in the hobby. That's my whole thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very technical, but
Very technical.
necessary.
Okay, but we have like the people who already are in. Like me, I was in 2018 going to 2019. If I didn't have the help of everybody, I would never going to put a car together.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to share, especially when you hand building. It's very hard to figure out measurements and size and stuff like that.
Sure.
Anyway, Bob, thank you very much for coming.
Yes. Well, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, I think it's very cool when you're here. I think your presence here, especially on the Nationals, everybody was super happy to see you.
It was fun. I was enjoying seeing everybody.
Yeah, I think it should be more.
So many different people. I mean, Rick Lynn coming down from 24 scale,
And he was sweating.
and Victor, and it was good. It was a good thing.
Next year is going to be bigger, and
That's good.
I hope to see you here again.
Yeah, so I plan on it.
All right, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.